me. I could recognise myself anywhere. I'm John McGonagle, intellectual property, commercial contracts, IT lawyer. I know you're all wondering, do I usually match my socks to my tie? The answer is yes. Yeah, John couldn't be with us. John is still alive. He just shouldn't be here tonight. So this is a kind of decentralised presentation because it's been created by one of our talented trainees and associates, and then been to John, and then eventually made its way to me. So forgive me if I refer to my notes at some points. I'm just rearranging some of it today. This is the sort of thing we'll talk about. Decentralised data, once it into a lawyer. What is data sovereignty? You might be hearing about data sovereignty. Data sovereignty in the IOT. Which data protection regime applies? The new data protection regulation is coming in. Localisation requirements, are they a threat to the IoT? Practical risk management, a plug, of course, for DLA's data protection laws of the world too, and some thoughts about how we're going to move forward. So, if you ask a lawyer about decentralised data and what does it mean? It means data stored in different countries, different sets of laws to understand, different authorities to deal with, and different standards of protection to meet and be relied upon. But it does have tremendous potential. And Nick was talking there about Bitcoin and the blockchain. Bitcoin's main innovation is a blockchain. It's used to keep a record of all transactions that occur in the Bitcoin network. Apparently now the blockchain's outgrown Bitcoin. It's going to be one of the biggest disruptors in the computing world. Brings opportunities to governments, banks and the private sector to make electronic payments, execute contracts, facilitate other transactions, and also has the potential to reduce fraud, corruption and error. It has been called the backbone of the digital age, but not for MaidSafe. You're not interested. So I am going to be delivering a presentation in due course, probably in January, about blockchain, collaborating actually with one of the in-house lawyers at RBS. So I've been trying to get my head around the blockchain. I listened to a DLA seminar last month with lots of big serious DLA partners from London presenting it. I think it was led by a partner from the banking sector team, and there was actually a bit of debate on that call where another partner started interrupting about 20 minutes in, saying, I've listened to what you've had to say about blockchain, I've listened to it all. I think it sounds to me like maybe just a fancy database or some kind of distributed ledger. I'm not hearing anything new at all here. I don't think this is significant. I think he did stay in the meeting. I don't think he hung up, but he really did challenge and say what's so innovative about blockchain. So I'll tell you a few things that I think are unique about it, and I'm very much open to comments and questions and discussion about it, because that will improve our discussion and also improve whatever I get around to doing in January. But the blockchain's distributed, so it runs a peer-to-peer network. This allows every user of the blockchain to transact directly with each other. Every user's got their own copy of the blockchain. It says here new entries to the blockchain propagate through the network and all other blocks are constantly updated. I don't think propagate's the right word there, but I get the principle that all the blocks in the chain before it are supposed to be updated. It's decentralized, it's controlled by its users, entries are validated using cryptography. There's no central administration or administrator. Of course that does make a lot of people nervous about it. It's open and searchable. Every user can see all transactions that are currently live and can easily trace back. So I suppose that's the difference to what Nick was talking about, an idea of digital cash and not knowing who the previous owners of the cash were. With Bitcoin and the blockchain, you should know every previous owner. And it's secure. Entries to the blockchain, and feel free, some of you might laugh at this, can never be altered or deleted. There's no chance for user corruption or malpractice. Everyone can have 100% confidence that the data in a blockchain is true and fair, and that there can be no asset ownership disputes. I'm very open to being challenged on that statement. Legally, any use of data across a blockchain will need to comply with data protection principles in the Data Protection Act and the GDPR, which we will get to. The level of security provided by the encryption will be pivotal, as will the distribution of data across territories, and there will need to be compliance with the DPA, especially Principle 8, requiring the personal data is not transferred to a country or territory outside the European Economic Area, unless that country ensures an adequate level of protection. So, what is data sovereignty? Hands up if you've heard this term, data sovereignty. Okay, a few of you. Movement to the cloud has brought about legal issues around how data is processed and stored in the cloud and in transit between users and the cloud. Data sovereignty does not have a generally accepted legal definition. I couldn't take it to a statute or an act that defines data sovereignty at present. I was having difficulties last year with a client. I won't name them, but there was a certain person at the client who would come into meetings and we'd be trying to work out how we were going to negotiate for some artificial intelligence technology, and this guy would sort of come in late to the meeting, look puzzled and start stroking his chin and say, but what about data sovereignty? What are we doing about data sovereignty? How are we protecting the customer's data? And it was driving me crazy because I was, politely trying to say to the client, what do you mean? What? And I couldn't tell if this was a buzzword he picked up or was just trying to throw me, or if he was trying to make a valid point and improve the product. So I have been thinking about data sovereignty. Is it data rights? Is it data protection? Is it data security? I think it's probably a blend of all three. It's a person's right to control the disclosure of and access to his own data, whether or not the data is personally identifiable. So it's actually wider than data protection. That would relate purely to data that is linked to a living individual. Data rights, that's intellectual property and data, even if it isn't personal data. And data security, that's a mix of management, legal, technical, operational and governance controls that an organisation puts in place to ensure desired security outcomes for a data subject. So data sovereignty can affect government agencies. They are principally concerned with their scope of powers to access the data and authorisations they might require, the accountability for their use of the data. Cloud service providers, they're concerned about retaining customer trust and their reputation in the market, their contract terms or policies, governance and compliance with legal requirements. Cloud service customers, they have reputational concerns. The corporate customers want to make sure reputation is protected, and individual consumers' main concerns are around data security and unauthorised access to that data. Organisations are increasingly looking to ensure that their data remains within a cloud under their jurisdiction, covered by their own legal system, and that ultimately will help them maintain control over their data. So when might data sovereignty be breached? A third party is using data breached another person's contractual, intellectual property or other rights, or in a way that causes such third party to be a breach of their own duties, or where a third party has power to access the data of another person without their consent or knowledge when that data is in possession of someone else. So this general idea of a person's right to control, disclosure of and access to their data, be it personal data or otherwise. Data sovereignty in the news. Concerns around data sovereignty in the cloud have been heightened by these high-profile news stories. Recent court decisions regarding public authorities' right to access our data and to use it, where the extent of the access may be in breach of fundamental EU data protection laws. We've had Snowden's revelations about bulk information collection programs of the US and the UK security services. We've had Max Schrems against the Data Protection Commissioner. an action brought by an Austrian student before the Irish High Court. He said that data had been transferred by Facebook Ireland to Facebook US was in breach of EU data protection law, and it was proven right. It was agreed that this was in breach of EU data protection law. US laws as to national security could trump privacy laws, and the European Court of Justice decided that was not fair. There also was very limited practical remedies for a data subject to complain about how their data was being used. So that led to the safe harbour regime being misapplied, which was the regime under which companies in the EU could transfer data, personal data, to companies in the US. So we now have, in place of the safe harbour, the privacy shield. That's still being challenged at the moment. Privacy shield to me sounds like something out of the Avengers. I think they came up with the name first and then tried to then develop it to make it a more satisfactory means of transferring personal data than safe harbour provided for. So included in that is more effective remedies for a data subject if they feel that they've been done wrong to. There's been Microsoft's litigation before the US Court of Appeal over its warrant to obtain information from US proceedings from its Dublin data centre. So the US was looking for rights to access Microsoft data in relation to ongoing investigations into narcotics trafficking. They failed on the grounds that they were looking for a warrant, and the US Court of Appeal held that a warrant really only applied to matters within the US, not out with the US. And there's a PRISM programme, is alleged. So I changed this to data. It's alleged that 9 US internet companies have done this or compelled to provide this data. So these 9 companies are compelled to provide data beyond just metadata, but email, IMs, videos, photos to the NSA directly, and that the NSA is also supposed to share this information with the FBI, CIA, and UK's GCHQ. I don't know if this has been proven or not beyond any doubt, so the good lawyer went for alleged. Again, feel free to tell me if this has actually been confirmed that this is happening. Data sovereignty and IoT. So what the IoT requires is openness, data collection, free flow of data. What data sovereignty, as we understand it, requires is consent of the subject, transparency, control of their data. Tension between what the customer wants from his services or her services and what the subject then wants done with his data. And it's like Simon's just mentioned, it's a bargain you're entering into. If you consider an example of a connected home, the customer might want to enjoy the benefits of a connected home with devices speaking to each other. Very simple scenario, customer leaves work, drive home in their self-driving car. They tell the car where they're going, they say they're going home. They want the heating to be on by the time they get home. The car must therefore communicate with the thermostat in the home. The thermostat in the home must then communicate with the energy company to make sure that the energy company is updated by energy usage in real time, so that there's no estimated bills. So that's a very simple example, but that involves 3 suppliers. We've got cars navigation software, we have the thermostat provider, the smart thermostat, and the utility provider. The customer doesn't want to separately communicate to all 3 suppliers. The customer expects all 3 suppliers to communicate to each other. Therefore, depending on where the suppliers are based, the laws of several different countries may be applicable. So which data protection regime applies? Depends on the rules of each regime. Exclamation mark could be the regime in which the data is created. Is it the regime through which it's sent? Is it the regime in which the data is hosted? Is it the regime in which the data subject resides? And then you have to think about regimes that have extraterritorial effect. GDPR mentioned again that definitely does have extraterritorial effect. I'll explain that in a second. Could multiple regimes apply to the same data? Possibly. An example here of a user of a social network who wants to delete all of her data. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg did voluntarily want to delete all his data, what was deleted anyway. But that data subject would contact the social network and may have different obligations. The social network may have different obligations depending on what territory they're in. It would be for the social network to protect its users' data to the standard agreed with the customer and as required by the applicable laws in their territory. And it may be that the applicable laws in the territory are actually of a higher standard than what they've entered into with the customer. Users should read their supplier's terms and conditions carefully, including the privacy policies. Hands up, I don't do that. You know, I'm on Facebook and Twitter, and I can't say I've read carefully the privacy policies. It'll be interesting to hear what you all think, but I definitely have reduced the amount of data that I would share with Facebook. I found Facebook started asking me quite strange questions. Was that the fertility clinic, or that was one actually my friend got asked last week. He's got one daughter, and I think he's not planning a second at the moment, but he was like, why have I been at? Why is Facebook asking that? I mean, some people must just be clicking away and sharing that kind of information. Very odd. The supplier needs to take responsibility for ensuring that there's an adequate level of data protection for wherever that data is being transferred. So if they are saying they're going to uphold a certain level of data protection for a customer and then transferring that data out with the territory, then they've got to make sure that the territory that data is going to also ensures an adequate level of protection. Consumers need to have that trust. If agreed or legally prescribed standards aren't being upheld, if the person's trying to delete all their social network data and it's not happening, then they need to have recourse. In this country, it'd be to the Information Commissioner or through the courts, as Max Schrems showed when he took down the Safe Harbour. And conflicting regimes, can multiple regimes apply to the same data? Possibly. There's no conclusive steer in this yet about which regime would trump the other. I don't know. The GDPR, I was threatening to mention it, here it is. So, Brexit, GDPR. When I woke up and found out about Brexit, I thought, can't believe this is happening. And then my next thought was, I've sat through all those GDPR seminars I didn't need to. Can I get them back? I'm reminded of my colleague, former colleague John in London, very, very bright man, first from Cambridge, quite a character. He declared one day out of nowhere in the office, if I have to do data protection all the time, I'll kill myself. He really did not like data protection law. So to reassure John that he didn't waste all that time, and I didn't waste all that time in the seminars, GDPR is still going to apply. The ICO might not be expressly saying this yet, but it's pretty well understood that it's going to be implemented in the UK from 25th of May 2018. We won't have left the EU by then anyway. UK businesses need to prepare and be ready for the tougher regime. The ICO will be enforcing the new regime, in particular some enhanced rights for individuals. In fact, the new Information Commissioner, I think, has just levied the biggest fine to date, £400,000 to get to the top. So definitely she'll be interested in enforcing the new regime. And Brexit does give the UK government options to shape future UK data protection laws, but the ICO doesn't support completely reinventing the wheel. I'm not sure if you'll find that on its official website yet, but that is definitely the steer that we are getting. In terms of data security, GDPR takes a more risk-based approach, meaning level of security adopted must be appropriate to the risk. The technical and organisational measures taken by an organisation to protect personal data should be equivalent to the risk. GDPR is a very wide scope, so this is probably part of the reason why it's still going to be enforced after Brexit. If you're processing EU data outside of the EU, you'll be caught. if you're processing non-EU data within the EU, you'll be caught. It's extremely wide. Any country that wishes to share data with EU member states or to handle EU citizens' data will need to be assessed as providing an adequate level of data protection. The current regime applies for processing of personal data by data controllers only. Cloud and other service providers, typically seen as data processors, they have no direct obligations. Data controllers have to have a written contract in place with their data processors, trying to flow liability down to the processor. But under the legislation, the processor doesn't have any liabilities. Under the GDPR, organisations processing data will be obliged to comply with new processing standards. There's new fines, depending on the severity of your data security breach, up to 4% of worldwide turnover, annual worldwide turnover. Also obligations to think of privacy by design, to gain customer trust, to think of privacy impact assessments, to think about privacy before a product or service is implemented. And ultimately the aim of GDPR is to be a one-stop shop. So if you're in the EU, you don't have to deal with all the member authorities anymore. You deal with one authority that's in your local territory. Localization requirements, will they affect the IoT? Possibly.
John, one more minute, because we've got a tight schedule to...
That's fine. That's
good.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you'll heard a lot about this, national data laws. September 2015, Russian law came into force requiring all personal data operators to store and process personal data of Russian individuals in databases located in Russia. There's been a bit of a wrangle with LinkedIn and Microsoft. Apparently now the issue is closed, which suggests that Microsoft has agreed to move its servers to Russia. Will we see more of this? Will it threaten IoT possibly? Risk management, data governance and contractual controls, these are practical steps to manage these data problems. Managing data processors, yeah, you really have to put a contract in place for data processors and understand what both parties' expectations are about how data.
Okay, I think we've got to wind it up there. But thank you very, very much.